We're following breaking news. California Attorney General Rob Bonta is making a major announcement. Let's listen in.
Parties, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Los Angeles County, Los Angeles Sheriff Robert Luna, and County Correctional Health Services and its director, Dr. Timothy Belovich, for ongoing violations of state and federal law that deprive people in custody of their basic rights. Let me be clear, this is about human dignity. This is about safety. This is about justice for those who are in our care. Los Angeles County operates the largest jail system in the United States and one of the most problematic, unfortunately, where ongoing failures put countless lives at risk every day. These conditions aren't new. For decades, the county has been aware of the unconstitutional conditions inside its jails. Yet instead of taking responsibility and fixing the problems, they've resisted oversight. They've spent millions of dollars defending lawsuits, fighting change instead of embracing it, and failed to implement reforms they themselves agreed to go through, through consent decrees and prior litigation. So they've already been sued multiple times. They're under multiple consent decrees to implement changes. Even given the lawsuits, even given the consent decrees, they still haven't implemented the needed change. Now, just to be clear, the fact of the need for change cannot be in dispute. The sheriff has stated that change needs to happen. He's acknowledged the conditions that need to change. Others have said the same. Independent reviews and reporters have indicated that it is essentially a humanitarian crisis inside the LA County jails. Yet we are here today because the LA County Sheriff's Department, instead of making the changes, wants to fight, knowing that they need to make the changes. They want to spend taxpayer money on litigation, on fighting, on resisting, on foot dragging, instead of making the changes that are necessary. To this day, conditions inside Los Angeles County jails are still inhumane, and they include some of the following: filthy and unsafe facilities with broken plumbing, with infestations of rats and roaches, and inadequate access to drinking and bathing water. Basics. They include spoiled, moldy meals. Little to no access to basic hygiene supplies, including soap and toilet paper, menstrual products, and unsoiled clothing and bedding. Nearly constant confinement in cells, which contributes to both physical and mental deterioration. And inadequate or delayed medical, dental, and mental health care, leading to preventable injuries, suffering, and, yes, deaths. When we're talking about feces smeared on the walls and medical care denied to those in need, we're talking about a disrespect for the basic dignity of our fellow humans and a violation of their most fundamental constitutional rights. Healthcare failures in these facilities are so severe that one of the county's own oversight bodies has called it, as I mentioned before, a humanitarian crisis. Right here in Los Angeles, in county jails, the Sheriff's Department, the Sheriff, LA County know about it, and they're not making the changes. Unacceptable. And most alarming, people are dying. In the last 4 years, there have been more than 206 deaths inside the jails, and more than 40% were caused by preventable circumstances, including suicides, homicides, and overdoses. 85 human beings lost their lives unnecessarily. And these numbers continue to rise. Over the years, county leadership has repeatedly directed the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department to strengthen narcotics enforcement inside jails and conduct more comprehensive searches of staff and of visitors, yet overdoses and deaths persist. Just this past May, the Board of Supervisors directed Sheriff Luna and Dr. Belovich to investigate the causes behind the rising number of deaths in Los Angeles County jails. But they continue to drag their feet to the detriment of far too many. We can't wait any longer. We need comprehensive reform, and we need it now. And that's what this lawsuit is about. My office has worked collaboratively with other law enforcement agencies, and we've done this across the state to address systemic failures. And we've seen meaningful reform where agencies act in good faith, partner with us, collaborate, work together to accomplish a goal and solve a problem, and implement the needed reform. That's the way it should be. Unfortunately, that is not the case here. So we're left with no choice but to sue and seek injunctive and declaratory relief that would require Los Angeles County to do the following: to provide constitutionally adequate medical, dental, and mental health care, protect incarcerated persons from unreasonable risk of harm, maintain safe, humane, and habitable conditions, respect the dignity and the health of incarcerated individuals, ensure health care requests are addressed promptly and fully, provide reasonable accommodations and equal access to services for people with disabilities, and ensure access to language services for those with limited English proficiency. I'd prefer, to be clear, I'd prefer collaboration over litigation. But the county has left us with no choice, so litigation it is. We've seen as recently as last month what happens when law enforcement agencies proactively work with our office to improve. In Torrance, the city and the Torrance Police Department sought an independent review after deeply concerning misconduct among officers. They reached out to us. They knew they had a problem. They were right, and they reached out to us to help solve it. Together, we established a set of enforceable reforms to address our publicly reported findings, and the city agreed to have its implementation of these necessary reforms overseen by an independent monitor to improve accountability, policies, and community trust. That's the way to do it. And we were in this very room not long ago with Torrance's police chief announcing that reform, that path forward, that collaboration to acknowledge problems and confront them and fix them together. That's the way it should be. Where Torrance stepped up, Los Angeles County has stood still. They've refused to meet even the most basic constitutional standards. That's why we also recently had to ask a court to put in place a receivership over Los Angeles County's juvenile halls, because they too, rather than make progress on the needed reform, have stood still, and unacceptable conditions remain there as well. So make no mistake, my office will continue to step in to protect vulnerable populations and ensure meaningful reform when necessary, and it is necessary here in Los Angeles.
You've been listening to California Attorney General Rob Bonta talking about the ongoing violations of people in custody and their human rights. He talked about the poor conditions that he called unconditional conditions in our LA County jails. He talked about spoiled and moldy meals, a lack of hygiene items, as well as delayed or denied health care. He says that the LA County Sheriff's Department is not making the changes, instead are fighting it. So he says that they are suing the LA County jail system for better medical, dental, and mental health. Stay with us. We're going to have much more on this coming up on KCAL News at noon.